Okay, hello everybody. Okay, what we've got here today is let's see, this is the Leapfrog Speak and Learn Puppy. And the Speak and Learn Puppy has five inputs. There's both paws, both feet, and the center heart. And I think I've got this one turned off, but I'm going to set it to the side. And with the magic of video, there's the puppy out of the box. Ha! Okay. Also, with the magic of video, I've done some things to make this a little bit shorter. Here's the internal housing for the body inside. It's held in place by, if you open this up, basically all you're going to see is this part and a flap over it. You won't see that either. That's hanging out. With a flap over it, open up the flap, you're going to see the battery compartment and this shell, and this zip cord, this zip tie, is tied around that shell, holding everything closed and secured. So with five inputs, we have to figure out how to get to them, to adapt them, and to set these body parts to the side for a moment, how to get to them, to adapt them so we can get in here. And this is a bit tricky to do. You have to take that zip tie off that's holding this shell in place, okay, which is around there, but down deep inside the body. Once you've done that, there's also, let me set this to the side, put the shell back together for a moment. So the first thing you're going to see is around the battery compartment, okay, a zip tie that holds it in place. There's a second zip tie that's all the way down here. Now, when I say all the way down here, I'm saying it is deep down inside of this thing. And video is going to be, it's further down than this. It's way down in this region down here. That when you're looking at the toy, with the harness out of the way for a moment, it's way down there. I mean, just the length of that shell into it. And you need to pop that zip tie also in order to remove the four screws located in here, okay? And take the shell apart. This hole here represents where the wiring harness attaches and comes out. Now, I'm gonna back up just a moment. When I want to adapt a toy, I want to get right down into the root of it if I can. For you to do this, it could be very simple. If all you want to do is to attach your switches to the wires that are coming out. And I know a lot of people just come in and they attach onto the wires with some cables and, some jumpers and the like. But that's not my preference for doing things. If that's your preference for doing things, then fine. Don't open up the body. Reach in, grab a hold of this. I've made a little chart here representing what these wires are. Choose which one of the inputs you want to adapt. Yellow is the star at the center of the heart. Blue is the left foot. Let's see, there's blue. Just off of that is a purple color, which is the right hand. Wait a minute. Did I get this right? Yes. Okay. So the double red one is the heart. The purple one is the left, correction, is the right hand. The green one is the right foot. The blue one is the left foot. And the yellow is the star. Okay. Also in this harness, you're going to see a red and black one. I believe that goes to the motor that controls the movement of the toy when it's fully functional. So if that's all you want to do, there's the identifiers. The way to get to that, do not take the body off. Just pop that zip tie so you can push this down far enough that you can reach in, get the hold of this harness, make your adaptions here, close it back up and be done with it. Now, in order to make those adaptions, obviously you're going to have to put a hole into the fuzzy body in order to get your cable inside. I will be doing that shortly here. But my preference is to identify these inside on the circuit board. And that's where I'm going to do my adapting. I'm going to attach them to those pins there. So I'm going to adapt all 5 of these. I'm going to let the user decide which one or multiples of that they want this toy to operate on. And given that I'm going to have to put a rather large hole in here, I'm going to have to put 5 cables in there. 1, 2, 3, 4. I've got a whole bunch of these things sitting off to the side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So with 5 cables through this plush body, that's not going to look real good just dangling out of there. So I went a little bit different on this toy. I got a grommet kit that has 1/2 inch and 3/8 grommets. Set this to the side for a moment and grab up the 3/8 grommet, and I'm going to push all 5 cables through that grommet. And that's what's going to be essentially on the outside of the toy. So you're going to see a grommet, you're going to see 5 cables sticking out of it. Those 5 cables then will go in. I'll put a hole in here so they can get inside the housing, and they will attach to the proper points on here to activate this toy. So I'm going to stop the video for a few moments. I'm going to go in, I'm going to make a hole and get this grommet in so that we can proceed with that. Okay. Okay, so I've got the grommet in here and I've got my 5 input cables through that grommet. And now I need to solder them onto there, except I also need, when I'm done, to have them inside this body. And to do that, I need to put a hole through here that all those cables can go through. And for that, I also want to make sure I put it in the right spot. This is going to be fairly low to the body. I hope I'm going to be okay here. I might have put this grommet too low. We'll see. Learn with me. Don't do what I do if I make a mistake. Okay. All right. So let's get the drill. See, I'm going to put the hole about here because I want it. I mean, just above that battery. Five cables need to go through this. I'm thinking it's big enough to do that. And it is. This is going to be very close to the solder point, so I can get away with putting a knot close to the end of each one of these cables to prevent it from pulling out. So those will not pull out during use. That's good to know. Okay. So now the meat of the matter. Where do these go? Where do these land on our circuit board? When I took this off, it only goes on one way. So it's plugged in here. And I tracked out the colors of the cables. So I know that the furthest left two are what I believe is the black and red power for that motor in the head. The next two over are red, red. They're the heart. The next two are yellow, yellow, left hand. Purple, purple is the right hand. Blue, blue is the left foot. And green, green is the right foot. So I don't really care which one of these cables gets soldered to what, because at some point we're going to have to identify out here with some tape or something what is activating what. So I will include a chart showing this. You can see this is a tight configuration. It's kind of awkward to work with, but I'm going to get it done. So my temperature is up on the soldering iron. Very tight to work with in here. I have, what did I say, 12? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 prongs to work with. The left two are for something motorized. The right one's the right 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 are for the inputs. And you can see here where that's going to go and how tight that soldering is going to be. So see what I can do. As long as I just make sure that I keep each cable all right. So I've got 5 out of 5 installed. Here's the test. Let's turn the toy on, plug this back in. Well, let's wait a minute. Yeah, I do need to plug it back in because that red and black wire go off to do something. So regardless of what else is going on, let's plug it back in. And we're going to verify that everything works like we expect. I've got 4 switches on the side of my table here. And I'll go get a 5th one so that we can test all 5 of these. Turn the toy on. This switch here. No, that's the program selector. Okay. Let's see. 1. Okay. So I've got some sort of a disconnect. One of the
Glad to see you.
something. Okay, I made a mistake somewhere along the line. somewhere in here, I've got something crossed. Let's verify all these wires go out to do what they're doing. Okay. Okay, so we got it wired up. Now, I want to point out that I made some mistakes with this. I think I paused it so that we could get, you saw that wasn't working. I paused it so that it would, I'll put a close-up of this picture that I've taken, still photo, but on the circuit board there, I washed it all out, didn't it? Okay, on the circuit board here, I'll bring this closer to the camera. Maybe that'll my cords. I got all too I had too much stuff here, right? Um, so on the circuit board there's 12 points to solder to, and given that they're so close together, I ended up accidentally soldering two of them together and grounding out the switch. When I grounded out the switch, one switch, it grounded out four of them. So it didn't harm the toy at all. It just meant that it wasn't going to function like intended. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this back on, and the all the inputs, the hand and everything is not connected here anymore. Okay. So let's turn this over and find out what happens when, let's see, none of these are going to work because they're not plugged in, but our adaptive switches are.
Time.
Story time. Okay, and over here,
Tell me something fun.
it's not off camera, it's just can't quite see it. I can interrupt it and we can choose which of those inputs we have. Okay,
When I'm happy.
all right.
Something silly.
So now this toy is switch adapted, okay? So the important things about this were finding out where it was that we had, that we could connect it up, finding out if we make a mistake, what the mistake was and how to fix it. Okay. And now we got, oh, that's right. This thing has a record button on it. It recorded my making a mistake comment. Okay. Turn that off. So now we need to put it back together. I'm not going to attach this to there yet. I need to get this body back into the toy and back together. And that is going to be quite a feature. So we need to compress it, put these components in the right spots. There's the speaker. That was hardwired in. Okay. Pull these out. Set the battery box back in. I've got a wire here pinched. We don't want any of that. We want to be safely snugged in like it's supposed to be. Let's set this back into its receptacle here. It actually does get keyed in. Let's see, it only goes in one way, and I need to make sure I put it in the right way. Yes, that's it right there. There's a thin side and a thick side. Thin side goes in here, the thick side goes in the other. To get this down, keep all these wires out of the box. Close. Okay, double check all of our wires. Let's see, I have a blue wire that's out of the box. I'm gonna snap this back together. Everything looks clear. Getting close. Let me double check something before I get too excited about this. This does have a lineup point on the rest of the component in here. Okay, so generally what I've demonstrated is how I would adapt this toy and how I did adapt it for use. And that's good to go. All right, I'll put the screws back in it and seal it back up. But, and I have to replace that, plug this in and then replace the zip tie that held it in place, held the bottom in place. So there you go. That's how we adapted this toy. The lessons were there. I made a mistake, showed you what it was, fixed it. So you either don't make the same mistake I do, or you know how to fix it if you do make that mistake. Okay. So when this is plugged back in, all those other inputs will work. All right. Well, thank you for watching another episode of Santa's Switch Adapted Toys. And if you have comments, please leave them down below. Hit that like button, and to show me that we're on track for adapting toys so people know how to do it. All right. Thank you very much, and goodbye. Okay. Encore. So what I've done is I put it all back together, got the body in there, snapped in place, fixed up, put the zip tie around the bottom so it holds all the fur in place. Okay. So what we're going to do is like you say, we've got this, massive cord sticking out the back. What we're going to do now is demonstrate switch adapted. It's this switch adapted. So
It's an animal.
that activates one.
Tell me something fun and I'll repeat it.
Santa's switch adapted toys.
Say the switch adapted toys. Say the switch adapted toys. Say the switch
Okay.
adapted toys.
Let's find something. Okay. Another input.
What
And
numbers?
I'm going to try the fifth input. So all five of these inputs are now switch adapted to all five of the factory inputs. All five of the factory inputs still work. Okay. And so that's one of the functions that I strive for when I do switch adapted toys. Okay. All right. So there we go. Successfully done. I'm going to send this out. This was a special request. It'll be in the mail probably tomorrow. And thank you for asking for it. There we go.